Good morning. Everybody be sure to follow Candy. She'll keep you up to date on what I already knew was going to happen.
Grant Sidney has maintained other bank accounts that were not disclosed by the Weavers. So he's like, I said, give me the bank accounts. You gave me one from February of 2025. Girl, who is you playing with? That's what he said. In my head, that's what he said. So he includes an exhibit that shows a statement from First National Bank of Middle Tennessee that has a number of accounts for entities related to the company, including those for Grant Sidney that he did not receive statements for. He goes on to talk about, because he done went and looked at this Senzaki emails back in 2021 and 2022. He said there was a bank account that Grant Sidney had where funds were transferred from a bank account belonging to Uncle Nearest to an account belonging to Fawn Weaver, and then to an account belonging to Grant Sidney, and then ultimately to a Canadian company known as LS Krim. Who the fuck is LS Krim? That's a lot of moving. It's a lot of moving of money. So he says, while I have some questions about the nature of this transfer generally, the more troubling issue is that no Grant Sidney bank account records prior to February 2025 were produced to me despite repeated requests and repeated assurances that all bank account statements were produced. He's like, girl, I can see that there is another account that I don't have access to. Do you know that I can see, that you can see, that we can see? So that's his first issue. So he has other exhibits that he has put in here. He says, even though they may have some explanations for some of the transfers, the sheer volume of the transfers lets him know that they were substantially commingled with the company. There was no lines, no boundaries, everything just... And he also notes that there were no arm's length transactions. Like, there's no promissory notes, there's no repayment plans, nothing. It's just the money's over here, the money's over there, the money's over here, the money's over there. So it's all together. He said, based on the records reviewed to date and the company's ongoing cash needs, the company appears to be insolvent under both the cash flow and balance sheet analysis. The company still cannot pay its obligations as they become due because of substantial budget cuts I have made to the company's operations. Its monthly losses have been reduced from approximately $1 million per month to approximately $100,000 per month. He says this is exclusive of the professional fees that I am incurring as a part of this receivership, which the Weavers note is substantial. And he says Farm Credit is currently funding those professional fees as well as the operational losses. He says, based upon my conversations with counsel from Farm Credit, I believe that Farm Credit would immediately cease covering these operational losses and move to foreclose on and repossess its collateral upon the expiration of this receivership. Those losses are also exclusive of debt service, depreciation, and other non-cash expenses. So basically, you can get rid of this receivership if you want to. They're going to take your IP. They're going to take your company because you put it all up for collateral. It all belongs to them. He said he read the Weavers' what they said about how if the receivership is over, they can balance the budget and get everything back on track. He says, I do not believe that the company can operate profitably without a substantial and immediate influx of capital and more financial discipline than has been previously exercised by the company. He said, from September 1st, 2025 through January 18th, 2026, the company would have likely lost $16 million, approximately $3.2 million per month, had he not been put in place to be the receiver. How would you lose that money when you ain't got none? It says, furthermore, based upon a correspondence I've had during this receivership, I anticipate that the company would immediately be the defendant in dozens of suits by creditors and shareholders across the country. He says the company is balance sheet insolvent. He says they secured debt from Farm Credit, and that now exceeds $110 million. Beyond those debts, the company currently has approximately $54 million in unsecured debt. And that breakdown is $21.9 million in vendor debt, $277,000 in credit card debt, $28 million in notes payable, including the $20 million for Grant Sidney. There's $4 million to Whistle Pig, $1 million to Scarcelli, $1 million to Dash Funding, and $3.7 million loan obligation to Grant Sidney that's carried on the books since 2023. So that's a lot. That's a lot, not even including the $100 million. On to say that, he retained Arlington Capital Advisors, and despite reaching out to over 100 parties, Arlington has been unable to find a qualified source willing to refinance even the secured debt, much less the total debt. He says, the Weaver said, I don't have no experience in running a spirits business. They right. I don't. I recognize this limitation in myself. That's why I called in some experts to do it, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I called in the spirits people to run the shit that I don't know how to do, because I'm a lawyer. I don't run no bourbon business, okay? He said, I leaned on the thoroughbred people because they have extensive knowledge in this industry, and I go to them to find out what I really need to know. He said they try to blame me for saying stuff is out of stock when I have left Fawn and Kate Jerkins in charge of that, the director of sales in charge of that, since I became receiver. So if it's out of stock, it ain't because of me. He basically said in October,
Crazy.
when the filings all start getting real spicy, he tried to take a little step back and not deal directly with Fawn and deal more with the management team. And that may be why they feel like there's distance and a disconnect between everybody. But he was like, I didn't want no ethical issues to come up between what y'all doing, what we doing, what everybody doing all together. Because when they got that new attorney and then they tried to file and say that's when it all got messed up. That's when everything started turning to shit. So, or shittier, I should say. So then in December, when things really got spicy and the judge was like, you not their lawyer, they not their lawyer, blah, 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 blah. He told the Weaver's counsel, I'm not talking to her. I'm only going to talk to senior management through my consultants, through my through my legal counsel. So it's been a lot going on over there in Shelbyville that we didn't know about. The Weavers have said that they have identified a quality CFO to run the company and assist with the management. However, there are no available funds to pay the qualified CFO. It told them that they have a accounting firm that's willing to assist. The accounting firm says, you owe us a lot of money. We're not willing to assist with anything except payment of our bills, our invoices that you owe us. They said, without a substantial retainer, we're not doing nothing but trying to collect. The Weavers said that they're going to have a board that will keep checks and balances. He said, 2 of y'all are on the board. The third person that's on the board told me that y'all have withheld financial information from him. Now, how you gonna withhold from the man that's on the board with you, girl? What are you doing? He said, Fawn has indicated that multiple shareholders have asked that she be returned to being in charge of the company, he said that may be true because you have over 200 shareholders.
Mm-hmm.